Hello everybody and welcome to Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. It's very rare I can wear a Manchester United top on this channel and be proud and say we've won something, but it's looking like Manchester United are going to win the January transfer window. And Liverpool fans will be there saying, so what? We're about to win our first Premier League title in 30 years and maybe win the Champions League and maybe take your treble and maybe take the Invincibles Cup. But Manchester United look like they're going to win the January transfer window. And is that significant? I think it is. I think it is significant in relation to teams that need to be doing business. I don't think Liverpool really come into this. They've got Minamino from Salzburg. I think he will be a good signing. They didn't buy anybody in the summer. I thought that would be significant, but I did predict they'd win the league, and I think we know they're going to win the league now, and they'll probably be a big threat in the Champions League again. And who knows, they may do more than that. But January's not necessarily a time that Liverpool need to spend. At the moment, they're riding the top of the wave and they're looking good. But all the teams below them, I think they do need to. And I just want to say about Bruno Fernandes as well. At this moment in time, that is going to be the signing of the January transfer window across Europe, but definitely the Premier League. I'm a big fan of his. Anyone who's watched me on the United stand knows that. But I would also say that I didn't really expect United to go back in for him in January. I knew he'd come to the Premier League. I thought he'd maybe go Spurs, maybe Liverpool, maybe Chelsea. And I would say any of those teams, including Arsenal and Man City, he would improve those teams. All right, at Man City, he'd probably be doing it from the bench and maybe at Liverpool. But I think at Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, he'd be a first teamer and he would improve them. So I think he's a very, very good signing. And Manchester United making the signing of the January transfer window is something that I would not have expected. But is there any opportunity for anybody else to do something? And should they be doing something? Because I think Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal definitely need to do something, because I do believe that top four spot is still up for grabs. I mean, I think Leicester are just about going to have enough. Man City and Liverpool definitely will. Chelsea, they've got the gap at the moment, but if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd still be a little bit worried about those results against people like Southampton and West Ham at home, where you've lost, and you could do that again, especially when the Champions League kicks in. I expected with a transfer ban in the summer, Hazard going, that money would be spent by Chelsea, and I expect it to be spent. But where will they spend it? They've got a big list of players. They're talking about spending 50 million on Lewis Dunk from Brighton, which I don't know, as a Chelsea fan, would you think that's the sort of signing you need? I think with Giroud off to Inter, I think he's off there, or he's agreed terms to go there. I mean, they're buying up a lot of players, aren't they? They need a striker. They do need a striker. I know they've got Tammy Abraham and Batshuayi, but I think they need something a little bit different. And we've seen them linked to Moussa Dembele. That's not going to happen, because Leon won't let that happen in January. Timo Werner is a player I'd like to see at United. I don't think that's going to happen in January either. Other players that they've been linked with, Sancho, again, not for January, I don't think. And Callum Wilson maybe as an outsider, or Mertens, but Mertens isn't out of contract till the summer. So I don't know what Chelsea are going to do, but I do think that if they... I can't say as a United fan, one thing I said about coming into this January transfer window as a United fan was you can't ignore a transfer window that can improve you. And you definitely can't ignore a transfer window when you're in halfway... I mean, a lot of people talk about, we're going to wait till the summer, but that's next season. It really frustrates me, and I'm sure it frustrates you. We're halfway through a season now. Why do people want to look into next season? We're in this season. There's half a season left, and whether you're Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, United, there is something to be salvaged from this season, or lost. Chelsea could lose top four because they don't sign anybody in January. Manchester United could gain top four or a Europa Cup because they do. And Arsenal could win a Europa Cup, an FA Cup, because they do. And Spurs could get top four, maybe go deep in the Champions League, maybe win an FA Cup if they do it. So I think a lot of managers, we've heard Mourinho say it, I'm sure we'll hear Arteta say it, I'm sure we'll hear Lampard say it, I've definitely heard Ollie say it. Oh, it's hard to do it in January, we're looking in the summer for next season. But next season never comes if you don't deal with this season. And it's not like you're firmly in mid-table and you're out of all the cups, so we may as well wait till the summer. There are opportunities for these clubs to do things. Looking at Arsenal, and I do think Chelsea need to do stuff, I would definitely keep my eye on that, but looking at Arsenal, they're linked to John Stones. Man City have come out and said, we're not doing that. I don't know why Man City would do that in January. They haven't got... they've had problems at centre-back as it is. I mean, it's just not a deal for now. I would be stunned if John Stones went to Arsenal in the January transfer window. He may well go there in the summer, and that link with Arteta and Pep and Man City could be a reason to see that through. But I don't see Man City doing that until the summer, and then maybe Man City go and get Koulibaly. I think Koulibaly is Premier League bound in the summer. Unfortunately, he is the centre-back that I wanted United to get last summer, but we went with Maguire. we won't be going for Koulibaly in the summer, and I think it'll be a clear path for Man City to go and get him for some ridiculously cheap price. It would have cost us about 90 to 100 million last summer. They'll probably get him for about 60 to 70. So I can see Koulibaly going in the summer, and maybe Stones goes to Arsenal then. But Arsenal need players for the now. There's talk of Lamar at Atletico Madrid because he's frozen out there. Lamar, I don't know whether it's the French connection or what, but I just can see Lamar coming to Arsenal, and I can see he is a player that is interesting, Thomas Lamar. I mean, he is a good player, but the move to Atletico Madrid just hasn't worked out. And it's a bit like Malcolm at Barcelona. I wonder what his future is, because I think both those two players could well end up at Arsenal, and both those two players could really do well in the Premier League. But, are Arsenal able to do that sort of a deal? I mean, Arsenal are an interesting club because have they got the money? I said it in the summer last year when they were linked to Pepe. Oh, they haven't got the money for that. And then they did it. So have they spent all the money they can do? Have they got more money to spend? He's a new manager. I think from Arsenal's point of view, has Arteta got enough to say, I'm not going to sign anything in the January transfer window. I'm only just coming into the job. It's a bit like Solskjaer a year ago with Arteta. Coming in just around Christmas time, not really able to plan for signings in January because you've only just come in. I think Arsenal may do nothing in January and wait to the summer. But then it's a risk of whether Arteta's got enough to win the Europa League and get them in the Champions League, or whether Arsenal are going to go, we may as well have another year in the Europa League, because that is becoming the consistent theme. With regards to Spurs and Mourinho has already come out and said, look, we're looking to the summer. Mourinho only came into that job in November. There was time to sort out some January signings, but maybe he needed time to assess the squad. I think the loss of Harry Kane is big for them. And, Spurs, it will be a blow to Spurs if they're not in the Champions League next year, because criticise Pochettino all you like, but he did get them into the Champions League a lot. He got them into the Champions League final last year. So to be bouncing into the Europa League for them, or maybe not even in the Europa League, let's not forget, you've got to finish somewhere in the league to get Europa League. And at the moment, you've got Chelsea, Leicester, City and Liverpool as the top four, but you've got United, Spurs, Wolves, Sheffield United. If you finish sixth, you're not necessarily getting in the Europa League, which would be big blow for any of those clubs. I mean, if United aren't in the Europa League, if Arsenal aren't in the Europa League, if Spurs aren't in the Europa League, it's a big blow. So again, you're halfway through a season. You've got to do something, because Spurs are going to struggle without Harry Kane. But are they linked to a striker? Is there any looking at that? It's interesting. I know Gedson Fernandes is going in there, but I mean, he's a very odd signing for Spurs, I've got to say. Having had Mourinho at United, I mean, a 20-year-old midfielder who's sort of frozen out at Benfica and they want to move him on. I mean, you've already got people like Sessegnon, who's quite young, and he's not really getting his chance, is he? I mean, young players are not really Mourinho's forte. So again, I do think that Spurs, Arsenal, and Chelsea, they need to be doing some business. I think Leicester will be fine if they don't, because they'll have enough to get them through. They've got a big gap in that top four in Champions League football. And United, look, I think United will get Bruno Fernandes. I think that they will get that deal done. They probably need to do another deal, to be honest with you. But with United, I think the bigger question is whether the manager's going to be in place or not in the summer. Manchester City, I think they, on their day, and I know Liverpool fans won't like me saying this, but I think on their day they are still as good as Liverpool. If they've got everybody back and they've got their head right, Man City can still be that team that pushes Liverpool every step of the way. Unfortunately this year, because of injuries and because of inconsistency, they've let that slip, and Liverpool, fair play, have had that consistency and deserve the rewards they're going to get. As much as I hate to say that as United, I got a bit sick in my mouth there. I did actually. It must be a natural sort of Liverpool doing well thing. But look, I don't think Man City will sign anybody in January, because I think they'll be looking in the summer, and their squad, when everybody's back, and they have got Sané and Laporte coming back soon, they should be fine. So I don't see City doing anything. I think City could still come out of this season as winning trophies. They'll win the Carabao Cup, they could win the FA Cup, they could win the Champions League. They won't be winning the Premier League though. But I do think that a lot of teams in this January transfer window have treated it like the myth that it is. That it's this impossible transfer window where it's really hard to do business and you can't do it. But you can. You can do business in January. There are plenty of players out there you can go and get. You just need to be ruthless and you just need to prep it. And I think the club that surprised me the most at the moment is Chelsea. Because I think United, Solskjaer was the manager at the start of the season. They knew January transfer window was coming and they are doing something. All right, Mourinho at Spurs only went in there in November. Arteta only went into Arsenal in December. So you can sort of see why they're not prepped. Lampard in the summer, no a transfer ban. You'd think they're focused on this January transfer window. I know they thought they might be banned for that as well, but that was released quite before then. And Chelsea normally good at transfers, to be fair. So maybe keep an eye on them. Anyway, get your comments in below. What do you think about your club situation, other club situations? Do you think there will be any more business? And do you think Bruno Fernandes will be the big signing of the January transfer window? Smash a like on the video, get comments in below, and I'll speak to you all very soon.